sunnier days here in Charlotte, North Carolina, as you can see with the city right in the backdrop. Coming to you today with something a little bit different, which this is the 2021 Volvo XC40 Recharge. Now this is all electric. Of course, what I mean by all electric and some of the distinctive factors, there's no engine. So you have two motors pumping out 408 horsepower. That's with 486 pounds of torque. With this being the Volvo XC40 Recharge, some distinguishing feature, you can see your camshell hood with your distinctive lines, of course, on both sides. You can also see your cabot grille along the front. Now, that's just not there for styling. That actually serves a purpose, helps with the airflow of the vehicle. You can also see where you do have your camera up front, simply meaning that's your 360 camera. That's in a package, but you can decide to get that package as you roll around the side, as you will have with all of your XC40s. You've got your sculptured door paneling along the side, both doors, along the back side, and also along the front here. Now, the wheels on the XC40 Recharge will be wider in the back than they are in the front. Of course, here you're going to be pumping out in the normal XC40, you're pumping out 248 horsepower, but on your Recharge, you're 408. 235 in the front, 255 wider tires in the backside as well. Now, of course, you heard me mention the 408 horsepower. That's 408 horses, which is actually distributed from two different motors, each combining to give you that 408 horsepower. And that propels you forward with 486 pounds of torque. Couple distinctive factors here from the back with the Recharge. Of course, you don't have the rear exhaust. There's no combustible engine, two electronic motors, and the Volvo badging. P simply meaning pure, 8 meaning the size of the battery, all-wheel drive, of course, and Recharge badging, and Recharge embossed along the backside as well. Couple distinctive factors or features for the XC40. Now keep in mind, those are primarily a couple of things from the outside that actually separate this from your normal XC40. But as you can see right up front, you've got the Thor hammer lamps, you've got the distinctive outside mirrors, which this is an R design, so your outside mirrors will be black, and the vehicle will be capped off up top with your black high gloss paneling as well, or roof line. Now when you roll around to the inside of the vehicle, something to keep in mind, as long as you have your key on you, which I do in my back pocket, you can simply hop inside the vehicle. There's no need to put a foot on the brake to do the start stop or anything of that nature. Of course, the seat is weighted, so it can tell when you're sitting in the seat, which turns the vehicle on. Now, something you probably didn't know, notice there's no subwoofer in your door. Rather than having a subwoofer, they actually give you more space, just in case you needed an iPad, laptop, something of that nature, or bottle holders you can see up front. You can simply put it there. In the front fender of the vehicle, you have an air woofer that allows for more spacing on the inside of the vehicle, but it still gives you your premium auto or premium sound with the air woofer up front. And of course, you will have speakers throughout the vehicle. Keyless entry, so you can just touch the door panel. Each door opens as long as you have the key with you. Now that will all look familiar there, as with the normal XC40. When you roll around to the back as well, find your sensor off to the left side. Simple kick. Rear hatch opens up. Spacing everything for the XC40 Recharge is exactly like the basic XC40. You have your rear seat. Of course, you can remove your back cover here. You can lay your back seats forward, and underneath you can do your paneling. So if you had grocery bags, takeout, you can actually put them up and over your edge here, or your clip, to hold them in position. Everything you need to change your tire will be underneath your back panel. Now, your rear hatch or rear cover here, you can put up underneath, and you can store it so where you can go on that trip, carry all your luggage with you, and when you get there, you can take your cover back out, put it on, take your luggage inside. The Recharge will come with its own power cord. Now this is nice because it's a converter. So if you don't want to have the charging porter or the charging port installed at home, yeah, Volvo actually comes with its own charging cord on all of its Recharge models or anything plug-in. Yeah, that actually cuts down on your cost, so you don't have to go out and buy anything immediately. You can just take it and plug it into your home socket. Now, of course, there's no combustible engine underneath the hood. So if I pull the lever, rather than going here to change the oil, and just to show you, when you come to the front, you can see the Volvo sign or the Volvo emblem there. Follow the line, and that takes you over to the clip to release your hood, which is off to the right side if you're looking forward to the vehicle. Now, normally you would see an engine here, but in this case, you don't have an engine. So you have a little compartment underneath. They've taken the engine, removed the engine out completely, and of course reinforced the front end from a safety standpoint. So even though it's an electrical vehicle, some could simply say you're safer than you would be with a gasoline engine. This is my first time looking under here, so just being nosy. Cover there. Oh, there you go. So yeah, if you do have a flat, which those would be more of extended mobility tires. So if you do have a flat, you have a gel in which to insert inside, which will get you typically another 30, I think, well, actually over 30, right at about 50 to 80 miles before the tire goes completely flat. So you're gonna put your hood down here. Gonna back out just before we hop in so you can take a look at that skyline of Charlotte. Of course, the power lines don't help. And just in case you're wondering, I'm gonna roll back around. You can see the John Montgomery Belk Plaza, which is where we are now, the Little Sugar Creek Greenway. I think this is either the start or the end of it. Gonna roll back around to the side and just give you a glimpse of the landscape of Charlotte. Of course, this would be CPCC. You probably can barely hear me because there's a lot going on. All right, so we're gonna prepare to take off. As I mentioned before, the seat is weighted, so all I have to do is just jump in. You can see the vehicle. Now, I've been sitting here for quite a while, so if I try to put it in drive now, I'm off and rolling. All you have to do is sit in the seat, everything fires up as soon as you sit in the seat, and then of course you can just use your shift by wire, twice reverse, neutral, and then of course pull back twice to go to drive. And as with Volvo, everything shows off on your gear change off to the right behind the steering wheel. This completely changes when you go to the interior of the vehicle as far as what's different from the normal XC40. So as you can see here, behind the wheel changes, as well as your navigation. You still get the 9-inch screen. You get the 12-inch behind the wheel. But yeah, a different look. Now, what's different about your center screen here? Of course, this is all one screen, so there's no swipe right, swipe left, pull down. You still pull down, of course, but no swipe right, no swipe left. Here, everything is found along the bottom if you want to change your temperature, your seats, heated steering wheel, camera, and then, of course, you can bring up your towels. Once you bring up your towels, you can choose which one you want. As you can see, no swipe right, no swipe left. You have your Apple Play Store, or Google Play Store, sorry. Google Play Store, Google Assistant, car status, phone, radio, Bluetooth, maps, and of course your owner's manual. All things you're primarily used to with Volvo, except you have one screen here. So that was their way of simplifying everything. To get to your settings, you just a touch over to the right here. And keep in mind, you can Google Maps, one press of the voice command button. Hey Google, can you give me directions to Volvo of Charlotte?
Volvo Cars Charlotte is 10 minutes from your location by car in light traffic.
So as you can tell there, I'm just ready to hit start, or I can go back and say, hey Google again. And directions to Volvo of Charlotte. and I'm ready to get started. Sorry, every time when you say, hey, that particular person, they come on and they're ready to assist. So I won't say, hey, that particular person again until I'm ready to say, you know, for them to assist me. But yeah, everything is there. You can see your maps are a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start here. Now I can zoom in and zoom out. This is so much nicer than the normal Volvo maps that you normally get, which this takes up half of the screen. Now it's all full screen, and you can zoom in, zoom out. You can play with your directions. You can do your navigational setting. Along the bottom, as I mentioned before, there's your dual climate, so you can go up or down. Seating, settings, camera, and of course all four of your towels. Hit camera. Now first time you hit camera, 360 in the middle there. So that's my normal camera. To bring up your 360 here, tap 360. There's your 360 view. Everything is much nicer. Now this is what Volvo is ultimately going to, but right now it's only available in the XC40 Recharge. So we're going to go back there. Come back to the front, and this is all nice because with everything you see here, you can take this. There's your map, much nicer than before. Your directions, it's telling me to go straight ahead. It's giving me the street that I'm on. So everything is much nicer than it once was with the way they do things now. So as you can tell, there's my trip miles. Don't want to close the menu. All right, so we're going to get out of that. Of course, you've seen the Google Assistant. You've seen the displays and the paneling and how it changes from the inside. Yes, you still have the crowd-pleasing favorite, which is the removable trash can, as you can see here. As well as the first vehicle to ever come with the charging pad from Volvo. You've got your distinctive card slots. You can put parking passes or whatever there, something that you need easy access to while you're driving. You have the same thing, which is going to be underneath, and yes, it is still there, and one in the glove compartment as well for that credit card you love to keep in your vehicle, and you want to keep it locked. We're going to go ahead and take to the road so I can tell you a little bit about the performance of the vehicle. So of course the XC40 Recharge does have what is called one pedal driving. One pedal driving simply means gas brake, you don't have to move back and forth between the two. You can simply take your foot on and off the gas pedal for acceleration, to slow down, and also to brake. If you don't want the one touch drive on, I will show you a quick remedy for that. If you don't like it, you can come down to your center screen, go into settings, and your first option at the very top, just to show you, which is here, settings, and driving, one pedal drive, tap, turn off, and we're back to normal. So I'm going to try to stay modest and calm here as much as possible. As I mentioned before, as soon as you press the accelerator, you're moving forward and you're doing it at a rapid pace. Keep in mind, this is the XC40. If you take the smallest vehicle Volvo makes and give it the most horsepower, that's what you're driving, folks. Now, the one pedal drive is going to take a little getting used to. And let's have a ball. So we're here. So as you can see, everything's immediate. You don't have to hesitate at all to get in and out of traffic. I will say this, if you do start driving this vehicle aggressively, please turn off the park or the lane keeping assist, because the lane keeping assist is working to keep me in my lane because I'm not using a turn signal, and it's throwing you. Now, if one pedal drive, there it wasn't braking me quite as much as I wanted it to, so I can put my foot on the brake to instantly slow down. Give you a glimpse of what's going on behind the steering wheel. The ease of driving and maneuvering this vehicle, I'm going to do a number of maneuvers to show you. So I'm going to get off, I'm going to go to a stoplight, I'm going to do everything there. But it's so easy to drive. The acceleration is instant. Moving in and out of lane, you turn the steering wheel, you move, but it's a confident turn of the wheel. Most of the time you do your steering wheel and there's a little hesitation, or it's too immediate, or it immediately takes you and you're like, wait a minute, I want to do that move gradually. This is very easy to drive because everything is gradual, but it's so instant. So like here, guy beside me is going slow. You can see him in my blind spot there. If I wanted to accelerate, that's immediate. I will say this. Now, this is not a Ferrari. This is not a Lamborghini. But the first time, or the only time I've ever felt so sure enough to accelerate, to squeeze into a tight spot, was when I was driving a Ferrari. But with this, I have that same instant, I have that same feeling of confidence when I do tend to maneuver, when I want to accelerate, when I want to change lanes, all things of that nature. I have that same confidence that I have here with acceleration and how easy it is to drive and maneuver in and out of traffic. And of course, if you use your turn signal, and excuse me, I'm from Georgia, so in Georgia, we don't use our turn signals quite as much as other people. We kind of look at it as a waste of a light bulb. But it's even easier because you don't get that little bit of a tug from the lane keeping aid. In which, no argument there whatsoever. Lane keeping aid is nice to have, and it's not a fight that you put up against. It's just a little bit of a kickback. It kind of, braces you, and then it's okay. Well, go ahead and leave the lane if that's what you want to do. All right, so here's what I've got to do. You can see the bridge in the far way there that we're coming up on. I eventually have got to get all the way over because I want to take a right. So if I wanted to do that with the XC40 here, you can see the car in front of me. Okay, they're going to get over. That's no issue at all. We're going to turn on our turn signal. And I can shoot right over. As you can see, it's so instant. From a performance standpoint, if you take the lightest vehicle that Volvo makes, the lightest vehicle that Volvo makes, which is the XC40, and then, of course, you add 400 horsepower to it, all electric. Pretty darn awesome. Of course, if you're maneuvering in traffic, which I'll tend to do that a little bit later. I've got smooth sailing here now, but on down, trust me, we'll get a little bit more congested. So some of the reviews and some of the things you'll hear about is how smooth the car is. Of course, this is definitely very smooth. Comes with all of your amenities, or all of your available options, such as pilot assist. So now I can remove my hand from the steering wheel, can remove my foot from the gas pedal as well, and it keeps me in the center of my lane. There's no idle when you're sitting and you're waiting at the stoplight, and you're sitting still, so you're completely comfortable. No vibration, anything of that nature. When you're rolling forward, you do get feedback from the road. Of course, that is the European way. You can see the van in front of me there. A little brake here. 25 miles per hour, just like that. Foot's off the gas, so it's starting to slow me down. Of course, anytime you take your foot off the gas, you're telling the vehicle you do want to slow down. Like, for instance, right now, I'm slowing down. I'm doing about 69, which is very risque here in Charlotte on the Boulevard right about now. So now I'm down to 63, and that's just with my foot off the gas, which it's not an immediate braking when you do take your foot off the pedal, but it just starts to slow you down, which is what expected. You're telling it with your foot off the gas you don't want to go forward. It does have the automatic stop, so if the truck in front of me stops, the vehicle can bring itself to a complete stop if I take my eyes off the road. Same thing as if I'm backing up out of a parking spot, it could stop me as well. So keep that in mind when it comes to safety. Now, this vehicle is reinforced on the front end simply because you don't have to worry about an engine. So it's reinforced along the front end for front end collisions. You're riding with a little bit more security than you would be if you were driving a normal XC40. So as I make my way back in, this is the thing to remember about the XC40. Sure, you can go out and buy a Tesla, but let's talk safety, folks. If you can have the same feel that you have inside of a Tesla, you're all electric, right at about 208, 210 miles on a full charge. And keep in mind, you can go from 0 to 80 on your charge in 40 minutes. So if you're uptown, you're traveling, pull over, have lunch. By the time you're done with lunch, guess what? Your vehicle is 80% charged. And keep in mind as well, as I was mentioning before, biggest competitor, if you wanted to go buy a Tesla, sure you can. But your vehicle could catch on fire and some of the other problems that they've had with Tesla vehicles. But Volvo is known for safety. So you bet if they're building an all-electric vehicle, guess what it's going to be? Safe. So it makes sense. So if you're on the market for your next vehicle, definitely take a look at the Volvo Recharge. Now, this is the XC40, which is going to be the first in the line of Recharge models, but Volvo is also going to do Recharge across its whole line. So you're talking XC60, which is going to be the next beast to come forward. That's going to be, and hopefully it will be made in Charleston, as they plan to make the XC60s in Charleston. But that's going to be the next one, and then you're going to have the same type technology, which is going to be on the S60 and things of that nature. Now, you have a Polestar line, which is coming, which is going to be Volvo's performance division. That's going to be how we compete with the BMW M Series and also the Mercedes-Benz AMG. So keep your eyes out on the next line of vehicles from Volvo. And if you're on the line for pure electric, be sure to take a look at Volvo.